Hey everybody, Dan Henry here, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about why you can become drunk on content and why consuming too much content will absolutely stunt your growth personally and as an entrepreneur. If you like videos like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button, because if you don't hit the like button, I'm going to finish another bottle of Jefferson's Ocean.
Hi, I'm Dan Henry. I used to deliver pizza and sell water bottles to pay my rent. Then I discovered entrepreneurship and grew a $20 million online business, became a best-selling author, accredited investor, yacht owner, and keynote speaker in just 4 short years. If I can change my life, so can you. Subscribe to my channel and I'll show you how.
All right, so what does becoming drunk on content mean? So when we try to consume content, we listen to podcasts, we read books, we listen to audiobooks, we're doing it to learn. Why are we doing it to learn? We're doing it because we want to learn something that solves a problem or that helps us accomplish a goal. But oftentimes we don't think about that. We just think that if we learn, good things will happen. But the truth is, you can learn too much too quickly, and you can become drunk on knowledge. So imagine this. Imagine you go out to a nice dinner with your boyfriend or girlfriend and you have a couple drinks and you have a nice social evening. It's fun, you're loose, and you go home, you go to bed, and it was just a nice evening. Versus you go out and instead of having 2 drinks, you have 5 or 6 or 8, and you end up getting way too drunk. You get into a fight with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and it ends up being a terrible night, and you feel like crap for the next 2 days. Or if you're in your 20s, maybe the next 12 hours. You darn 20-year-olds. But the point here is that everything in moderation. So here, let me give you an example of too much content. So today, I was doing my morning knowledge walk, and I do that every morning. I just got back into it. I moved to downtown St. Pete, and so now I'm walking around the city, and I was listening to the book Traction. And the reason I listened to this book, this one particular chapter of this book, was because I wanted to improve the way that we document our processes in our company. And so I listened to the chapter about documenting your processes in your company from the Traction book. Now, keep in mind, the book Traction, or really any book, is multi-hours. I mean, that's like a 6-hour audiobook. And so I knew I couldn't listen to the whole thing and turn right around and implement. I just wanted to listen to that one part. And as I was coming back home, I was, getting all kinds of ideas in my head, and I thought, okay, I'm going to come home and I'm going to specifically work on one thing that relates to documenting our processes. I'm going to talk with our operations manager, and I'm going to implement. But then on my way home, I noticed that I checked something on YouTube. I don't remember why, but I saw a video that interested me from Andy Frisella. And I think the reason it interested me because I was looking at it wasn't even the video, it was the video style. It was his camera work on how he sets up his show, because we're going to be setting up a show for my new company, How to Think. And so I wanted to watch it to sort of like get an idea of how the set was set up. But then as I started watching it, first I was paying attention to the set, and then I started paying attention to what he was saying. And next thing you know, I found myself beginning to forget about that action that I wanted to take. And I went, whoa, I'm getting drunk on content. And so I stopped watching the video, and I didn't listen to anything. About another 5-10 minute walk home, I just enjoyed the birds singing, and well, I mean, I don't know if they're singing. Maybe they're screaming at each other. Maybe they had a drunk night on birdseed, and they're like just going at each other's throats, and we're thinking they're singing, but they're not really singing. They're like actually having a domestic incident. Anyway, the point is that I didn't listen to the audiobook, went home and sat down and decided to take action on that one thing that I learned earlier in the day. And so the point here is that if you consume too much content, you will not take the action from the content that you consumed. And that's why I believe it is good to define a problem or a goal, consume a piece of content that relates to that goal, and then take action before you consume anything else. And this is actually one of the principles that I decided, one of the core values I decided to base my new company, How to Think, on. And to give you an example of that, if you read the book Atomic Habits, it talks about how the real way to get better at something or to improve is to do it just 1% each day. And so that, when I went to develop this company and this app, I had to research my competitors, and I had to research the other mindset products that were out there. And so I found that the problem was most, if not all, of the mindset offers and memberships and events and courses, they violate the law of marginal gains. And basically, they create this massive amount of content. Either you go to a 3, 4, or even 5-day event and try to fix your whole mindset and your confidence and your motivation all in one shot. Then of course, you come home, you feel good, and then you're right back where you were. And there were several memberships that I signed up to, popular ones, where some of them would release a 2-hour video each day. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, if somebody had a strong enough mindset to set aside 2 hours each day to learn about mindset, they probably wouldn't have a mindset issue now, would they? So the idea here when I developed this was to stick to that core fundamental value of not getting drunk on content. And that's why when we release How to Think, you'll get a 5-minute daily mindset mentoring session from me delivered to your How to Think app each and every day. And the idea here is that you slowly and gradually improve your mindset so that it sticks. Because if you do too much, it's sort of like a diet, If you try to go crazy and not eat anything for 2 weeks, yeah, you might lose weight, but then you gain it all back and then some. If you swing one side, you swing too far one side to the pendulum one side, whatever, then you're going to swing violently back to the other side. Because the truth is that slow and steady wins the race. It always has. The law of marginal gains. That was written about in the book Atomic Habits, which if you haven't read, definitely should pick it up. But the point is that I live, and actually, ironically, Andy Frisella talks about this. He talks about living your core values, living it in your personal life, living it in your company, living it in your products. And that's why me personally, one of my core values is don't become drunk on content. Pick a goal, pick a problem, consume the content that you need to consume to fix it, take action, then move on to the next piece. And that's exactly what I founded and developed our product, How to Think, on. Is simple. It is 5 minutes. Everybody has 5 minutes a day. And 5 minutes a day, just chipping away at those limiting beliefs, slowly strengthening that mindset is really what you need. You can't cram it all at once. And so that's just an example of not only learning to not become drunk on content, but living that value. So I hope this is helpful. And let me know in the comments, have you ever become drunk on content? Yes or no? And if you want, expand on that as well. Once again, if you like videos like this, make sure to subscribe. I'll be releasing more of them soon. Talk later.